added it, so that's good. What's so exciting? I'll share that. So
Okay, so hello, welcome to From the Heart. Raul, Oyola, Jordan, and Christina could not be here with us today, super unfortunately, because we both wanted them here. Jordan had to help his father today with some work, and Christina's gonna tag along. So we're gonna get it done regardless. Today, I'm super excited to say I am here with Odett. What's your last name, Odett?
Mitchell.
Odett Mitchell.
Yes.
And we're both members of Forever Fitness. If you cannot see, we have a change in some scenery today. Boxing ring behind me. We're actually in the CrossFit / boxing / wrestling portion of Forever Fitness. So for those of you that don't know, look up Forever Fitness, great gym to join.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I'm overwhelmed today with excitement because I've been coming to Forever Fitness for some time now, and I know so has Odett, and there are a lot of mutual friends between the two of us, and we always come in and we make eye contact with each other, we smile, and I've always felt something inside of me, draw me towards Odett. However, I didn't know why, but I always felt such a positive aura surrounding her. So
This has been a few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I used to work at the front desk for Joe, too.
Yeah, that's right.
My mom did, too.
Wow.
You know Evelyn, right?
I
Evelyn?
do. Oh my God, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That
You
just
look-
clicked?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Good, thanks. I love that. Yeah, she's my mom. Melissa's my sister.
Yes.
My sister used to work for Joe back when he had the gym in the Marks bus station.
Right.
So we have come a very long way with the growth of this gym. But you informed me on something that I didn't even know, that he even had a place before
Originally in Blakesley.
Marks bus station.
Yeah. Before that, he was in Blakesley. And he was in now it's the CVS is there, across from the post office, and the, what is the name of the gas station across the street?
I'm not sure because I don't go to that general area so
okay.
much, but when you said the CVS in Blakesley, like it clicked. Like I know where the CVS in Blakesley is,
Okay.
but I can't really put too many pictures of like surrounding buildings around
So it was a split mall. It's a split mall, and he was in one of the stores because the pharmacy, which was my daughter's godfather, he owned the pharmacist there on the first store. And if you went down about 4 stores down, that's where he was, where he had his gym, right next to the pizza shop. So it was pretty cool.
How long was he there for?
Probably, I'm not sure. I know I met him when we first came up, which was in the 90s. So shortly after that, he moved out. So I'm not sure how long he was there prior to that.
That's interesting. Now I have a question. Since you were here, you said you were here in the Poconos since the 90s, and my family didn't move here till about 2002, I would say. So how would you have compared the Poconos differently from even the 90s to 2005?
Oh my God. Such a difference. During the 90s, it was an influx of people coming in from Jersey and New York. I myself was, and my family was one. But it was different because there were majority of, we called them local yokos at the time.
Okay, give me some context. unless it's
Yeah.
give me some context.
Yeah,
Make
well,
it
they
playful.
the local people here, there was a lot more local people than it was people migrating in. You know what I'm saying? So they did not, and it had nothing to do with prejudice or anything. They did not want outsiders in their home. The New Yorkers are coming up here, the people from Jersey, they need to go back, and these were the local people. But I got so involved with the mom and pop shops, and they were beautiful people. And I built real relationships, and they were like amazing. Joe was one of them,
right.
People that owned their own shops and everything, and the stores, and it was just the delis and all the different places. Yeah, and it's so, I think to answer the question is that it was more like a little town where people were accepted, and opposed to now, it's like, oh my God, this is the suburbs of New York.
It's almost like, what do they call that? An extra borough.
Exactly.
That's what they're calling Poconos now.
This is the extension. And it's like, when I first moved in Blakesley, and that's where I had moved, and we had our house built in Blakesley, I can get to, in Camelot Forest, is the name of it, and I would come to the entrance of Camelot Forest and get ready to make a left turn or a right turn. And as soon as I get there, I can make a left or a right, okay? After about 15 years down the road, I'd get to that same spot, and I had to wait like for cars and more cars and more cars and more cars.
And it's funny, but I think for those of us from the Poconos, we all probably have at least one of those spots for each of us that we can say the same thing that happened to us. Because I right now, just you saying that brought up like a flash of images in my head of the same thing, of spots that when I was a kid had no traffic, and then all of a sudden 10, 15 years later, traffic. One of those spots, coincidentally, was right in front of my house growing up. I lived right on 191 next to the old YMCA. And there's a daycare and all that stuff. So I was like 2 houses down. Me and my family and my uncle's family, we built those houses when we moved here from New York. And that road, 191, was very little traveled on, you know, like
that's true.
Like locals and everything like that. But I think growth and changes.
By the way, can I cut you for 1 second?
Of course, yeah, go ahead.
After about 15 years, I consider myself a local Yoko. So that's why I was able to say it so freely, because now I'm a local Yoko, and I'm like, what are all these New Yorkers doing coming up in here?
I'm one too. I say it loud and proud. I'm a Pocono. I'm a mountain boy.
There you go.
My neighbor.
I love it. I love it.
Me too. You gotta embrace like the little things that make you who you are. Like the struggles and the pain, the hurt. It's not like always the good things that make you who you are. Like those are the easy days, you know.
Winters are rough.
Right.
Some of them, especially back then, and we had to do it. I mean, we had to make it happen, you know, and survive it. And we did. It's awesome.
I always said that I always felt like growing up in the Poconos gave you such a unique perspective, because in the summer it's so beautiful and there's so much to do and everyone is so social. But I think that seasonal depression is so alive and well here. I mean, it's statistically, it's a fact.
It's true.
People hibernate here in the winter, and then they turn into different people. I don't blame anyone for the simple fact that when you go outside, your face hurts. Who wants to go outside and your face is hurting? That stinks. You know, that's why I'm a Cali boy for sure. And that's where I'm meant to be, I know. Known since I was young, which is also incredible, because when I was young, and I was about maybe 6 years old, I went to California for the first time, and I declared when I was on a beach, Mom, this is where I'm gonna live. And I asked my mom the other night, Mom, where were we when I said that? When I said, like, this is where I want to live, this is where I'm gonna live. She said, San Diego. I said, you gotta be kidding me. Because growing up, never knowing that, I always said, San Diego is where I want to move. San Diego is where I want to move. And it is actually the first place that I moved. when I went to California. Like
Wow.
the connection of not knowing,
Yeah.
but knowing
Yeah.
is it's insane.
It is. It is.
And a lot of things won't even click until so many years later.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm,
from following your faith.
Yeah.
You won't understand. You got to walk with faith.
Yeah.
You might not see the path. You might not always see the path.
Yeah.
But you got to walk with a faith in a direction.
You have to.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. There's the faith. My sister is 2 years older than I, and I used to watch her and her relationship with God, because that's what it takes, a relationship, to have the faith. My belief that and I used to watch her, and she stayed in the Bible.
And where did you grow up? For some context, we didn't really go into where you're from and everything, but I don't want to cut off this.
Okay.
I want to continue with this. Now that we're talking about your family.
Well, actually, I was born and raised. I was born in Harlem Hospital, in Harlem, obviously, and I lived there in Harlem, 138th Street and 7th Avenue, back in the day. And then we moved to California. My father was, yeah, when you say Cali. So we moved to California, and because my dad was a musician, and he played guitar, and my mom was a dancer.
Jazz.
Yeah. Well, actually, he ended up having some times with the Nat King Cole Trio, and he would play the guitar in the back and the background and stuff. So I'm not totally clear of that whole connection, but yeah, that's basically, it was jazz or some classical he would put in there as well. But my mother was a dancer. She used to dance at the Cotton Club in Harlem, and that's how they met and whatever and stuff like that. But anyway, my dad left my mom with his two daughters with his new singer in his band, and moved to California. Well, my mother wasn't having that, so she packed us up and took us to Cali. Now we out there, we don't know anybody, but my mom survived. She's a survivor. She's a fighter, and she took care of us. We lived in a beautiful home. We had the birds of paradise sitting out there in the yard. I don't know if you know what those are, but they really tall flowers that's really tall, and when they're in full bloom, they look like birds. They have the beak, and the whole thing looks just like birds, and they call them birds of paradise.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and so I remember that. I was like, I think I was 4 when she took us out there. I was 4, my sister was 6. So we stayed out there until I was 8. And then my father ended up divorcing my mother, and we just came back to New York.
Start new.
Yeah, so that was on St. Nicholas Avenue. We lived here with my aunt, and then we eventually moved to the projects, the Harlem River Projects, one of the first projects in New York, and with my grandparents. So, and we went from there.
And I know me growing up in the Bronx for 8 years, like I was just having a conversation with my sister, and we actually laughed and giggled to each other because we were really in like a bad spot, but we never realized it. Mm-hmm. We were running around the blocks with our friends, and I think part of that is because my parents just were always so positive.
Right.
They didn't let us really see. They weren't saying like you're a product of your environment. They like always instilled in us that like
Right.
we make our environments products of us.
Right.
So
That's what I'm talking about, and that's what my mother did with us in California. I mean, there she is now, alone with her two daughters. We lived, like I said, lived in a beautiful home. Excuse me. And we didn't want for anything. So when my sister wanted to be a brownie, my mother automatically became a brownie scout. Then the same thing with the Girl Scout, and then I became a brownie, so then she was a Girl Scout and a brownie scout. And she was always at the school, she was always doing things, she was always helping people, she was in a Baptist church, she was in the choir, so that...
She supported you.
Yeah, she was just amazing, and she supported us no matter what it was that we did. She was just always there. She was a hands-on single parent. She was amazing. And for years, I did not realize that we were on welfare until, oh my God, I was almost 50 when I realized we was on welfare.
Like you were older in your life, right? It's amazing you don't realize these things.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, because when I do remember her, once a month, we would get the bus and go downtown into this big building. She would talk to somebody, then we would come out, and then we would go and end up going, that's when we did our shopping. And we'd do shopping and all this stuff and come back home. And it was like an outing. She was going to the welfare office. I had no idea.
Yeah, she made it. Wow, that is incredible.
We never knew that we were on
perspective of parents. So the power of parents have to like perspective on their child. It really is so incredible, and it's at such a young age too. These thoughts, these actions that people make subliminally, like consciously and unconsciously. Just to be aware of everything that you do is important. You know, even the thoughts that you don't even know are there, because it doesn't help if I wake up in the morning and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be super positive today. I'm gonna be happy, and then God's like, okay, you're gonna be happy today, you're gonna be positive. I'm gonna test you, and then I don't know, he does something, anything that he could do, and then I'm like, why? I hate this. Like, to say you're gonna do something and then to reaffirm your unconscious thoughts with practice and belief is super important. Belief. Not knowing, but having that faith.
Yeah, just believing and trusting in God. And like I said, it comes back to relationship.
I'm sorry to cut you off real quick, but your mother, I'm reading a book right now called Everything is Figure-Outable. It's by an author. Her name is Marie Forleo, and she's great. She wrote this book to help people follow their passions in life, trying to tell her story about where she got to where she is now. And she said she lives her life on the phrase "everything is figure-outable." And she learned it from her mother.
Yes.
And she said the same way you said your mother got into like a predicament, but then she just figured it out real quick, and that's just the way it was.
Yes.
Like back in the day, there was no internet.
Right.
There was no I can look up Google.
Right.
Like if you didn't evolve and kind of find ways to adapt, you would really limit yourself. So.
Well, she's the one that had. That's the relationship.
Yeah.
My mother had such a strong relationship with God that he just was in our lives. He was there. He just existed. You know what I mean?
Oh, he does.
In our lives. So he was always there. In fact, I was baptized at the age of 8 while I was in the Baptist church she was in California. And this is what I was saying back to the faith and the relationship. Most of that, yes, I got that from my mother and my grandmother, actually, which my mother got from her mother. So we were, 3-generation Christians that just loved the Lord. And that's how we lived our lives. And so with that being said, back in California, I had a personal relationship with God. And I'll give you a quick story. Okay, I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories.
I love stories.
Okay, but I'm gonna give you a quick story. So when on Saturdays we would go to the movies, all the neighborhood kids and stuff like that. So the older kids would go. So my mom let me go this particular time, and it was one of these horror movies. I don't remember, King Kong or Godzilla or one of those.
It's not a horror movie.
yeah, well, to be 8, yeah, it was.
Okay, oh yeah, I forgot your years old.
Yeah, at 8 years old, and so it was just really, really strange. And but my mom let me go with them because the older kids were going. So it was like instead of the matinee, which we usually went to, we went to the later show. And so now it's over, and we're walking down the street. We're walking home. Everybody's about 10 of us, and everybody's walking. And it was getting dark, and the storm was coming in, and everybody they freaked and started running. And it was foggy, and I could barely see anything. My sister was gone. Everybody, they took off. And there I was by myself. And I'm in the middle of the street, and the whole street is lined with palm trees. Tall palm trees. They were like giants to me. That's how tall they were, and I'm being so little. And they were
So they left you, an 8-year-old?
Yes.
But you were with your sister?
She left too.
Right.
Everybody got spooked, and it was foggy, and they just all took off. Mm-hmm. They were running. Somebody did something. It had something to do with that movie we saw. Okay, and so they got spooked. They started running, and when I looked, there was nobody near me. I heard nothing, and I stood there, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And I can feel that the fear coming on me, but because of my upbringing with Jesus Christ, it was like, Jesus, help me. And then all of a sudden, there was this huge Jesus, the image that I had at that time of what Jesus looked like, and he was taller than the tallest palm tree. Mm-hmm. And he reached down, and his hand had to have been huge later on when I thought about it, but my hand fit and his hand fit comfortably together. And my hand in his hand. And that, I felt such a comfort and a peace. Because he says, I'll never leave you. I'll always be with you. You know, I'll never forsake you. I'll never leave you. And so I was taught that. So here he is. I was distressed, and here he is. So we're walking down the street, me and Jesus. He's holding my hand. And we're walking down the street, and I stayed in the middle of the street and just walking. No cars were coming, nothing like that. We're walking until I get home. You know, so I'm on the sidewalk now, and I'm walking down, and me and Jesus, and I'm kind of got this little skip going on, all right? By this time, the weather had cleared up and everything, and everybody was on the big porch in the house that we live with, the Birds of Paradise. So I'm walking there, and my mom was like, oh my God. Because they didn't know where I was. And so she said, you okay? And I said, yes, I'm fine. She said, you all right? I said, yes, Jesus brought me home. And she told me, she said, later on, she said, there was a glow around me. When, you know, and at that time she didn't connect it. But later on she told me, she said, when you said that, there was a glow around you. And I was like, yeah. So I was hanging out with my buddy. Yeah. So that relationship that I have to this day, and I am now 75 years old. So that relationship that I had with God then at 8 has grown so tremendously that I don't do anything. Even now, as I speak to you, I'm listening to God and following my heart to say the words that He's given me to say. Does that make sense?
100%. To me, it won't to everybody.
Yes.
But the goal of it is to help people understand more about different things in life that they can open up their mind to.
Yes.
To keep an open mind. That's a huge part of this podcast, you know.
Yes.
Hopefully that people will come in and then leave and say, I never thought of something like that in that way before.
Yeah.
You know, we need to spread more positivity.
Yes.
We need to spread more consciousness of open, like awareness of being open.
Right.
You know, so I understand.
Yeah.
You know, my father, he still doesn't really believe in, he's not religious. But I don't know if you remember back in the day, it was in the 2000s, there was a huge power outage in New York in the summer. And it was like a week or something, like a long time.
It was a while.
My grandmother, she was in her 70s or 80s, and she has diabetes. My father used to take care of her a lot. You know, God rest her soul. She's not here with us anymore. But at the time, she didn't look good. And my father had left the switch on for the fan to come on when the power came on. My dad, you know, looking at his mom, my grandma, and you know, he's looking at TV, looking at the fan, and he's saying, you know, I never believed in you a single day in my life. I just don't see how there could be so much pain and hurt in the world, and you be here.
Yeah.
Because some people think God is just meant to give all good all the time. Right. And I believe He does, but I believe He does in mysterious ways. And I don't think it's always going to be in the form of giving you exactly what you want.
Exactly.
So my dad, that's a part of why his faith was small or little. And he said, you know, but if you are real, do me a favor and turn this fan on and save my mother's life. And he said that. It's crazy, like, it gets me crazy thinking about it, but he said that the fan started spinning, you know, and I was so young when he told me that, and like, I had a faith beforehand and everything, but I just still remember that being something incredible to me, and I think it's so undeniably, that was one of those things that you were just given. It was one of those things that was like you asked and you received, and I think that still my dad, he was like, nah, he thought he won the lottery. You know what I'm saying? You know, everything happens for a reason. You know. Yes. And
absolutely.
So part of the huge reason why I felt super obligated to have Odett on the show was because when I came into the gym last week, you know, I had a lot of things on my mind regarding this podcast, regarding relationships for my future, and, you know, if I'm doing the right thing, you know, but I believe the right thing is doing what makes you happy and following your heart and doing good. But I don't even remember how our conversation started. Like, I don't remember the words. I just remember us getting so deep into a conversation, and everything that I had on my mind that day, Odett was speaking life and speaking love into all the worries that I had inside of me. And it's not like I had went to her and said, this is what's on my mind, you know? Like, she was answering them for me.
I was actually working out when you came in. And so, you know, we did the smile thing and the, you know, the high. And you walked past me, and I was doing the triceps. I was doing my triceps, and you were going to go to the leg machine. So that's that space that we were in, which that's kind of tight, and that's why I, you know, described it. So it put us even closer. And the Spirit of God came over me and said, give him a hug. So we said hi, you went to walk away, and as you was going, I was like, can I have a hug?
Oh, yeah.
And then you hugged me, we hugged, and then we just stopped. I stopped, everything, we just started connecting.
We started speaking like love and life into each other.
Yes, yes.
How was your day? How are you doing? I
Yes.
hope you're doing good.
That
Speaking
started the
positivity
conversation.
to
Yes.
each other, and
Yes.
and one thing leads to another. When you
Right.
love, the chain reaction is just incredible.
Yes.
So, for those of you, I don't know, I've been single for probably going on for 2 years now. I got out of a relationship that meant a lot to me, but I learned a lot from it throughout leaving it. And so this last 2 years have been a lot of rebuilding myself and finding who I am. Not jumping into relationships that I don't know about or that I don't feel 100% comfortable with. But I had a thought in my mind, and I asked Odett if she thinks I should follow my heart if I find someone that I have a connection with. And she said, you should always follow your heart. If you feel like it's from your heart, you should follow it. But sometimes we're dealt with situations where we think we want something too much. We think we want. And she made it clear to me that if it starts to become something where it's a want and not a heart, then it's not meant to be. So, I just broke down crying in the middle of the gym, and I'm like that. Like, I've become so just comfortable with who I am and my emotions and everything. Like, I have nothing to hide, nothing to fear. I am who I am around everybody that knows me.
And when you did that, I was like, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, because God was showing me that who your heart is, who are you? And even though I never met you in the sense that we sat and talked, and this is really the first time getting to know our backgrounds and whatever, but he showed me your heart. And when we talked, and then you shared with me what you did, and you also shared about the podcast and the whole thing, and it was so profound that I felt connected to you, and then that's when you were telling me about the podcast and what you wanted to do, and I said, nothing just happens. Everything happens for a purpose and a reason. And I said, I'm a half an hour behind my gym time. I was supposed to be here.
That blew my mind. I told like 3 people about that.
Yeah.
That you were stressing about being late to the gym because you want to get into the gym early,
Yes.
and then if that would have happened, we would have never
Yeah,
connected.
we would have missed each other. So again, there's God's time and His directions, and just following your heart. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I need to get to the gym. He's like, no, you need to do this first. I'm like, but I'm gonna be late. He said, I got you. I hear from God on a continuous basis. Like I said, even talking now in my spirit, in my heart, and that's where I hear from Him. So when we started talking about that, and I said, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because then there's the thing about the book. I'm also a writer and I'm an author, and I just finished my autobiography.
I can't wait to.
It took me 22 years to do, and so I'm getting that done as well. And it's just when you say, well, yeah, we could talk about your book, and I'm like, I said, God said, I will bring the people to you. You don't have to go find them. They're going to come to you. And there you are, walking to me.
And that's exactly what I told my mom the day before. So I told Odett that too. My mom's always supporting me, always giving me ideas. So she said, are you gonna have people interview? Who are you gonna interview? And I'm just like not worried at all. Right. I'm just like, Mom, God is gonna send me these people. Like, I have these amazing people in my life around me all the time. I'm just not paying enough attention and I'm not looking for them. As soon as I start to look for them, I will find them.
Right.
And she said, okay. And I said, okay. And the next day, I meet Odett. And
you told me then that you just had that conversation with her the night before.
Yeah,
and I'm
the
like,
day before.
oh my God.
Like it was like, oh.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's our connection, and we're connected for life. You know, this is not just our season; it's for life. And when you started sharing what you wanted to do, and about the podcast, am I saying that right? The podcast, okay. And you were sharing, and also your partners and all. But when you were sharing that, I said that's because you have a gift of discernment. And you're like, oh, okay. And later on you text me and you're like, what was that again you said I had? So I send that back to you. But you was like, what is that? You know, and I said, it's you're understanding people's hearts. And the reason you can do that is because you are following your heart, which is the inner voice from the Spirit of God, telling you what to do.
I believe when you fix yourself, then you can spend all your energy and love helping others.
Yes, absolutely.
Get fixed, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think that's why it's so important to spend whatever time necessary on yourself, because oh man, just like what it unlocks your potential wise to be able to just fully love.
Yes.
Because understanding yourself and your pains allows you to understand others. Yeah. And
I didn't start loving others, and now I genuinely love people. On different levels, but I love them. And when I have the difficulty to love a person because of their behavior or their actions or something they may have done to me or family members or something, then I just go and I get that. I reach up for that agape love. So I'm like, okay, I'm working on this one. Yeah, I need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think I've learned also that since I've tried to not question where I am so much, that has allowed me to make the best out of my current situations.
Right.
Instead of saying why did this happen to me, or why am I here? I don't even spend more than a couple seconds thinking about it. Oh no, this is just what it's supposed to be. Now let me make the best out of this current situation. And I think that too, just having that optimism to look into the future.
That's a good word.
You know?
That's good, yeah.
Optimism I like very, very, very much, but I also always tell people there's a fine line, but it's very close between delusion and optimism.
Right.
So you can be optimistic, you can also be a little bit delusional though, if you don't train to know yourself and everything like that. Yeah.
Use the rower or your
Yes, 100%. We're taking up this spot. This is.
If you're busy, I'll leave.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
So, all right, real quick then. I guess Jordan and Christina has some questions. So for you, if you don't mind, they couldn't be here. I still want to ask you some questions from them. Okay. They were wondering, what is your perspective on helping others grow, helping others learn, when you yourself still have room to make improvement, when you yourself still have things to learn in life. Because I think personally where he's coming from with that question is that sometimes people can feel insecure about the judgment of others, thinking, who is this person coming here trying to help? Who is this person here coming trying to show someone else how to do it, when then themselves they don't have it figured out. They don't have it figured out. But then again, I think that's also from just a perspective somebody has.
Right.
For you to say somebody can't do something is a reflection of what you believe you yourself can do. So it's just so much about just knowing who you are and not really. You can have respect for people's opinions, but just know that no one knows like yourself.
And the way I see that is And I've learned this over the years. I haven't arrived yet, but I am here. The encouragement, I get encouragement from other people. I step out of self